Hello everybody, I am JayLeonardJ, and today we're going to compare the PRS Horsemeat Transparent Overdrive with an original Klon Centaur, as well as hear what PRS has to say about the influence of the Klon in their own horsemeat. Let's dig in and rock on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another thrilling episode of the Tone Lab. And today we're doing a little comparison video comparing two pedals that have kind of been in the conversation with each other quite a bit. And it's interesting for me because they're actually two overdrive pedals that I use a lot in my life. Actually, one I used a lot in like my early days, and then one that I'm using a lot lately. And these are these two pedals right over here. We have an original. This is my personal Klon Centaur that I got, oh my gosh, years and years back when I was living in Boston. I even had Bill do like work on it and everything like that personally. This was like before the whole boom of whatever this was. I was one of the early adopters of the Centaur. And then on this side, we have the Horsemeat by PRS, a transparent overdrive. And we're going to be shooting them off. And the reason why is because I think when PRS first released the Horsemeat, there was a lot of talk in what they were saying about, you know, kind of it being influenced by the Klon. And they didn't really get into too much about where that influence was, but they definitely were talking it in the same conversation. And even the name like Horsemeat and a Centaur, they kind of seem intertwined with each other. And based on my experiences, they're actually quite different pedals. So I thought I'd kind of help you like steer you into what direction. How much does a Horsemeat actually sound like a Centaur? And are you going to be able to get your Centaur tones from the Horsemeat? And not only did I do that, I actually even reached out to my friends at PRS and I asked them some questions specifically about the similarities and the differences, like how much of the design of the Horsemeat came from the Centaur and stuff. So they answered that for me, and I'll do that at the end of the video. But we're gonna start off with the fun stuff, and that's the actual playing, all right? So this is how we got things set up. We have a Centaur. It is it's supposed to be like a transparent overdrive. That was like the first kind of like transparent overdrive. And then it gets quite gainy. So we have output treble, and we have gain. And gain is actually a wiper. It goes from like a clean boost all the way to a full-on overdrive circuit, and then this is kind of like a blend between your clean tone and the overdrive. It's a very unique thing. With the Horsemeat, we have volume knob, we have our gain knob, we have treble and bass, and it's a cut and a boost, so you could boost it or cut it. And we have a voicing knob, which goes from something smooth to something kind of edgy, a little bit more, I guess, sizzly. So already you can see they're kind of different in the layout. Let's go see if they actually sound similar, all right? So right now we're gonna go with the no gain sound. So I have the gains rolled right off, and I'm pretty neutral with both pedals, and let's go see what it sounds like. This is the guitar on its own. Alright, so now let's go see what the Klon Centaur does when I turn it on. Again, it's no gain. We have a little bit of treble scooping. And then this is the Horsemeat. Wow, so there's already a noticeable big difference. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm definitely hearing this seems to have like more, I would say it's like it sounds more compressed or more finished, more mastered. See, there's a little bit of grit there. So I guess it's pushing it and kind of sustaining the notes. And then here's this. So it sounds drier and a little bit more, I would say there's more definition in between the notes. You see how that just sounds smoother? Let's go turn up here. Now let's start turning up the gain a little bit and see what those gain characteristics are going to do. Actually, right here, sounds kind of similar to this. So it kind of seems like a low gain, like Centaur, kind of sounds like a full clean boost Horsemeat. Again, I still feel that like overall smoothness with this and a little bit more edginess with this. Okay, let's hear this with a little bit more gain. It's a nice sound though. It's a good overdrive sound. This is this one. Let's see what it sounds like when we have it on low gain boosting overdrive sound. So this is just the boosted channel on my Bad Cat Hot Cat. That's a really, really different response, actually. You could hear, again, it's overall general. I'm just hearing lack of compression here, and also a little bit more, this seems more smooth and neutral. This seems a little bit more, I'm getting definition and a little bit of like a punchy. Hear that mid-range? Let's see if it's still there. Let's try to make everything brighter. hearing something. I'm hearing it too. Let's go. Get more gain. Let's go up here. This is the clean channel I'm back here. And here is the Horsemeat. Actually, I like dialing this brighter and I like dialing this darker. This has a nice fullness to it. Now let's go all the way up. Let's really push it. The more I'm turning this up, it gets more saturated. That like mid-range, that kind of like, I want to say a slightly higher than where a mid-range would be on a tube screamer. It's really edgy, and I think it's since it's like, I would say like 1K maybe, but like it makes it clear, makes it really throaty, almost like a treble booster pedal. And let's hear the Horsemeat cranked up. So the Horsemeat, it's almost it's like more amp-like, I think. It's more like has that kind of thick down low. More chewy, more compressed, more smooth. Where I say that, even when I go down low, it's smooth. Up high. Even when it's like full edge, it's still full sounding, and it never gets shrill. Where this is the opposite. This is just like kind of crystalline and edgy all the way. I think that this would, I don't actually hear any, I don't hear any similarity at all. I would say this reminds me more of like a Tweed amp in a box, or like something like a Marshall Blues. I would think something like Marshall Blues Breaker, or like a Tweed style pedal before I would even go to Klon Centaur. These are like from two completely different worlds. I find that this does like this more amp-like thing, and it's more finished. Like, it doesn't have like super shrill highs or super deep lows. It's like kind of more like there, but then it has fullness and evenness all through the way, nice and like finished product kind of sound. This is a little bit more like an addition to your amp. I think that's why, like back in the day, Bill used to interview people before he would sell them the Klon, because he would want to make sure that their rig matched like the pedal. And I get that, because this pedal seems to be more of an accessory to the amp, where it just brings out certain things in it. And I think this needs to have an amp at a certain sweet spot to really do its thing. But when it's doing it, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. So completely different pedals. What I would say, I don't know what you're gonna say, but what I'm hearing, I think this has more gain on tap to play with, and I think this is a little bit more polite sounding. I feel like you would probably be good for rhythm parts with this thing. If you can turn up the voice for lead stuff, and it's doing some pretty nice things there. But it's definitely more modern sounding in terms of it's like, it sounds like you don't need to do too much. It's like it's a finished product. This, I find that it is that thing that you want when you want to push your sound to the next level. So if you're at clean boost, you want to push it and just have a more full, clear version of your guitar tone, you can do that. Or if you have to crank this up here, it's like this really like mid-rangey, almost like a treble booster affected sound that just jumps out at you. So I think the applications are very, very different, very, very different pedals. I'm curious to hear which one you have to say. So that being said, I did ask what was going on here. And so I asked 3 questions, and they're all kind of the same. I asked 4 questions, and they're all kind of the same thing. So question 1, and this is what I asked PRS there. Exactly what aspects of the Klon was your team interested in exploring during the process of the design, the overdrive characteristics, the concept of blending between overdrives and like clean blend kind of stuff? And the response was, the original Klons were a beloved piece of gear. It's an interesting circuit and has a throaty tone. That part is great. What we wanted to do was capture the courage and musicality of those kind of sounds, but also allow players to have more control over their tone. It is from scratch, a scratch-based unit, in no way a clone of a Klon, and has a beefed up EQ section and added a voice and bass control so people could manipulate those instead of having them preset in the pedal. So I get that. It does seem like a from the scratch build. And yeah, there is some versatility going on here that you're not really getting with the Klon. But I don't feel handcuffed by the Klon at all with the one treble knob. I think this is a very, it has a sound and has a thing it does, and it does it really well. This might be a little bit more versatile. Question 2, from a design perspective, how is the Horsemeat similar or different from the Klon? And then Paul read, well, it's a pedal. It's similar in how it's used as an extension of your amplifier. That is something we love about great overdrives. We use germanium diodes like the Klon because it is integral to that kind of distortion, but there are many things in Horsemeat that are not in a Klon. And yeah, that's definitely true. I would say that. The third question I asked was, are the circuits between the two pedals approached similarly, or is it an entirely new design? And I guess he answered that in the previous thing. He says, entirely new design. Horsemeat is a from-scratch design. We didn't copy a Klon schematic in any way. We were inspired by the sound of a Klon, but we wanted to create something new. And the last question I asked were, what were the design goals when approaching this overdrive pedal? And he wrote, we didn't want to make another overdrive pedal with massive distortion. We wanted something throaty and musical like an amplifier. We wanted something players could use when they wanted to engage the overdrive, but we also made it true bypass so it gets out of the player's chain when it's not engaged. I recently had a great guitar player tell me it makes his pedal steel sound just like David Lindley. You can use Horsemeat as an overdrive or a clean boost as well. Overall, our mandate was we want it to make the board and stay on the board. So that's what they have to say about it. And yeah, I would definitely say it is nothing like, I don't even think they needed to mention the Klon thing at all, because it does seem like a completely different pedal. It is a really neat sounding overdrive. I actually use this a lot. If I don't know what amp I'm gonna go through, I've been using this a lot. I did a trip recently to Florida and had a really, really good time with this as my overdrive pedal, because you can kind of manipulate the sound. That being said, if you have a killer amp, like a really awesome amp, and you put the Klon Centaur in front of it, I'm gonna tell you, it is like nothing you have ever heard. I really love the definition of this pedal. I really like the edge of it, and I love just how old school, like rock and roll it is. It's so rock and roll, and I also just like how, even though it does a little bit of thickening to your tone, you still have a lot of clarity. So those are the two, and man, they both sound pretty good to me. Well, that is it. That is the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to the page if you haven't done so already. Check out the links in the description below, and support me on Patreon if you like the kind of videos that I make. My question for all of you out there in YouTube land is, if money's not an option and rarity and whatever, which of these two would be the one that you would put on your pedal board? You heard what they sound, you kind of hear where they excel and what I think about them. I'm curious to hear which one would make the most sense in your rig. So write in the comment section below. That being said, I'll see you all soon. Take care and goodbye.